Welcome to my podcast. I'm sitting in the conference room in the courtyard behind the castle. It's a little bit cold outside and I'm very grateful of the warmth. And I'm sitting here with Brent and Amy, Brent Gunderson and Amy Gilchrist, who've been working with us to produce an observational documentary film for ITN Productions, which is being seen on Channel 4. So I thought it'd be lovely to hear from them about their impressions of when they first came to Highclere, and also hear a little bit about their life, which during lockdown has been as challenging for them as it has for many other people. So welcome, Brent and Amy.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. It's a different situation here from where we normally are, which is running around outside, putting up Christmas trees or getting cold or filming the sheep with my husband and goodness knows what. But tell me, Brent, first of all, what was it like when you first arrived at the drive and came into Highclere Castle?
I didn't know what I was in for, really. I'd seen a bit of Downton and I was impressed by the castle, and I didn't know what I was in for, really. Meeting an earl and a countess, I'd never done that before, especially being from New Zealand, so far away. I thought I was going to be quite intimidated, to be honest. And then I was greeted, and it was, it's not what I expected. Everyone was really friendly. Meeting you and Lord Carnarvon instantly felt very comfortable and put at ease. And then I knew I was in for a lot of fun when your castle manager John entered the room. And as everyone probably know about John here and all the staff, and it's been amazing. And I think especially after Lady Carnarvon mentioned in the introduction being locked down all year, it was amazing to come to Highclere, to this big, gorgeous estate, and be filming in the fresh air. And
so you're the cameraman, I know, part of the duo, because all the film documentaries run, I would think, very light today, but partly because of the equipment. And Amy, you're the producer, I suppose, but you're also running around doing many things. That seems to be a catch-all title. How would you describe your role?
I'm the assistant producer. No, okay. I'm not quite the producer.
Well, I'm trying to produce it.
Yeah. Oh yes, that's good. Thank you.
We're a team.
I guess I do a bit of shooting. We do a bit of everything, really. A bit of booming.
Yes, because the sound is always an issue, isn't it? Because someone's forgotten to turn the microphone on, normally me, or it's in the fresh air. And it's slightly more complicated with all the COVID regulations we've been adhering to carefully. So Indeed. It is a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit more sanitising and a bit more plastic bag, handing you a microphone, which seems odd.
Yes.
Put a microphone in a plastic bag and hand it over and sanitise it all. Yeah.
Well, we're a very small crew. You'd see here with Downton Abbey, there'd probably be trucks everywhere and maybe perhaps hundreds of people. But here it's just Amy and I. So we're a small team. But being an observational documentary, that's important because we want to sort of blend in with everyone and become part of the team. So we direct, produce and film and do our own audio, all as a small team with sort of 1-2 cameras. And with COVID, it's new times, because normally we would be running around putting microphones on people and juggling everything. But in these times of COVID, we've obviously got to keep our distance. We've got to sanitize everything, keep masks on.
Drive in separate cars.
Drive in separate. Even with Amy and I have been having to drive in separate cars, because even Amy and I have to be careful about sharing COVID. Keeping each other safe as well. So it's been very tricky, hasn't it, Amy?
It's made us quite lucky because John suggested we get 4x4s one day, and production had to get us a Land Rover each, which was quite exciting.
That's nice.
Got to do a bit of off-roading, had some luxury Land Rovers. However, they were urban Land Rovers rather than the kind of Land Rovers you have.
So did you get stuck on the tracks at all? Or not quite?
We didn't, because we had some buttons we could press and suddenly it goes into four-wheel. But Brent left his on for the entire journey, so his petrol had all depleted by the end.
I think too. When we got back to London and they went to pick up the cars, I think they got a bit frowned upon, didn't they? They weren't supposed to be dirty.
Oh yeah.
These Land Rovers.
So we're not really sure if they're damaged because they're covered in mud.
We got taken. Lord Carnarvon took us right up onto Beacon Hill and the farm, and it was beautiful. We got to go a bit off-road, more off-road than I expected, actually. It was lucky we had the four-wheel drive. Yeah.
No, it is, and I think, I suppose I've been driving around here for quite some time and really appreciate a good car with really good tyres. That's normally the secret to it, and there are flints and And it can be quite challenging when you've got quite a high ridge in the middle of the track you're going along, because you do not want to bottom the car. So you end up becoming, quite expert. Well, not expert at it, but better than I might have been, if you like. But I thoroughly enjoy it. But Amy, when you drove in through the front gates of Highclere, what was your first impression?
I feel like it was incredible, but it was actually the way out that I remember, because I think I went off the wrong way and I went down towards Diana Temple, and I just, these cedar trees, they were gigantic and they were huge, and it was just a really sunny day and it was autumn and it looked like the trees were on fire, and it was phenomenal, really. And it's just so nice to come back here every day, especially everyone's locked at my house. I go home to my housemates and they're all tapping away at their computer, and we get to drive here and be in the outdoors, which is, get some fresh air, which doesn't, I don't feel depressed at all. I actually enjoy myself.
Yeah, I think
quite a lot.
before this year, it's things I took for granted. Our job that we so I've got my wife and 2 little children, and I have to travel a lot, and that can be hard on the family. And but I think coming out of lockdown, it's been lovely to get out here, and you sort of don't take your job for granted anymore as much, do you? Sort of getting to travel and be out in the fresh air and come across, working in beautiful places like this.
So can I ask you, of lockdown on March the 23rd, I think it was, neither of you had any work for the first few months?
Well, I've worked for ITN actually since lockdown, like day one. Well, actually, I went into the office for 2 days. And we kind of figured out a way of remote shooting. So we'd send phones to people with a little tripod, and we'd get people to set them up remotely. And I felt like a glorified IT consultant. It's the hardest thing to explain how to do. Just position the phone to the left slightly, put it to this, put it on a couple of books, and then they'd put the microphone on, stand up, and the whole thing would fall over, and you'd have to start again. It was a nightmare, but so now it's nice to be out actually real shooting and like touching the cameras ourselves rather than having to explain how to do your job.
We obviously did some filming ourselves for Springtime on the Farm, which was Hannah, but that was Hannah helping me do it. And it just is, we had a small group of perhaps 5 of us who effectively locked down together here, and Hannah was brilliant. She was producer and cameraman, and I'd got a new iPhone, and it was extraordinary. Then we also find out what equipment to get, and it was the little sound fluffy things which made such a huge difference to the recording. They probably got some proper name, but we're always looking for the fluffy thing on the end of the phone.
It's funny how a whole phone has replaced our camera equipment nowadays. We won't be.
No, definitely not actually. And I think whilst there's little bits that one can fill in, the cameras do not replace the steadiness of a proper camera, and also the observational distance from what you're doing. So whilst we sort of managed it in order to get by, it was a getting by. And I think for most of us, lockdown has been trying to get by, and then again remembering what it was like and looking forward to what it might be like again.
But also being creative, right? So you're thinking outside the box, or thinking how to do things, or taking opportunities. I think there's been a lot of that around, and people doing things like yourself that,
Instagram, public can't come to Highclere, so you've taken Highclere to the public, and we've watched you and Kat and Hannah do that, sitting back on sort of filming you being filmed with sort of this another layer, but watching that and seeing how you can still bring people here in another way, and they can still enjoy it, because a lot of people are still stuck at home.
They are, and I'm really conscious of that. But I think it's interesting because when I'm doing little videos for Instagram or writing about things in my blog, I look to what helps me. It's always been the trees, the walks, the dogs, the moments apart, the putting usually the social media down and just going, well, it would have been in the past with a friend, but at least with my friends, the dogs, for a walk. And I find that incredibly peaceful. And during lockdown, doing some yoga underneath a huge cedar tree, and you just feel so lucky. And I know not everyone has a cedar tree, but often you have a little bit of garden, you can be a little bit outside, and that sense of the sky above and everything else does, I think, create a little bit of anchorage, if you like, in a very fragile world. Did you have any work during lockdown?
Yeah, I finished up a show called Race Across the World for BBC, and we travel from one part of the world to another with no phones, no internet, and it's basically just with, I think the contestants have about £2,000, and they've got to get all the way, first series of London to Singapore, all the way by land only, no flying, no smartphones. And then the last series I did was Mexico to the bottom of South America in Ushuaia. And so I'd sort of been travelling a lot. I was working the edit till March, and a week before lockdown finished, then suddenly, it was still this talk about COVID and what was happening. We didn't know what was going to happen. And then when it hit, it really hit. And I know a lot of our friends in television completely taken out, like everyone and like a lot of industries. And sort of no one really knew how to make tally yet and how to make it safely. So we all sort of got shut down for a long time, but there were only a small percentage of television working. So I was one of those people. Luckily, my wife had just gone back to work. So I was very fortunate that we had some income from my wife. Otherwise, I know some other friends, husband and wife or partners, both self-employed. It must have been very hard for them to be knocked out with no income. I was one of the fortunate ones that had a partner who could bring in some income, and then I turned to looking after the kids, which is really, like, in reflection, it's always easier looking back.
Yes.
But, I think with a job like this where we travel a lot and I'm away from my wife and kids a lot, it was an amazing time to be with my two little ones. My son is 4.5 now, my daughter's 2 in January. So I got this really special time to reflect and actually, appreciate what you have and have that time to kind of go out for big walks with them and keep them busy and really bond with them much closer, because of being so busy trying to bring in the income, there's those times you miss out with your children. But I say that from a privileged spot that I had my wife working from home and, she was able to bring the income in. But yeah, like you say, with doing yoga under the trees and getting out for walks, I think I found amongst the chaos and of COVID and the stress of income, there was those moments we got to get outside with the kids and really enjoy that family time that we had. And then, so I didn't work for about 7 months, and then this came up and jumped at the opportunity. Yeah, it's been great, and it's been amazing, not just saying it to be polite. It really was amazing to just come out here and to work with you on your estate. Just such a beautiful place to escape lockdown into the sort of fresh air, beautiful castle. A really fun story, like we're here to explain a bit more at the show. It's about Christmas at Highclere. And literally the lead up to Christmas, there's been a lot of laughter here. If you see the show, the staff, Lord and Lady Carnarvon, everyone comes together as a family. There's so much banter and fun and jokes and laughter. And after a tough year, it's been good fun, isn't it, Amy?
There's a resounding note from your staff that it's like, you come here, you start working here, and you stay here. And now we've just been filming here. We're like, can we stay a bit longer?
It is, and I hope, laughter's the best medicine, or whatever it is, or humour helps us through the tough times. And I think John Guntle, the castle manager's humour is completely unbounded at the moment, which usually is also a sign that he's a little bit stressed, but he is an incredibly amusing man, and all of us, I think, get on quite well and understand how people are letting off steam and the point of the banter, which is to get through some long hours. But I hope people do feel appreciated and part of a family if they wish to be. There is no need to be, but it's up to people what they choose. That is quite cool. We are all very conscious of being responsible, keeping one's distance, and everything we can possibly do to mitigate any chance of getting COVID. And I'm sure if we all need to carry on doing this. It's not going to just disappear overnight. I have to say, I'm not going to be going to the cinema to see a film about it. I just want things like Notting Hill, Love Actually, Pretty Woman, all the upbeat films is where I'm definitely coming from. And I can't wait to throw parties again. I just want to throw parties. I don't know if you've got anything you're really looking forward to, Brent, at all.
I think it's the same as you're saying, Lady Carnarvon. Yeah, I think I imagine most people do, just gatherings with friends. I just really miss getting together with friends. And again, that's why it's going back to being here at Highclere, being around you and your staff. And it's a small team, but kind of a large team at the same time. And it's been nice being able to interact with people again. But in really, really good fun. And I think it's been also a reminder how much I miss my friends actually interact with everyone here, because everyone is so friendly. And I know we felt like we fitted in quite quickly and we relaxed very quickly. And that's hopefully comes across in the show. And it just reminds me, when this is all over, hopefully with COVID, we can all be back with our friends again, having those good times and good memories. A good party, like you say, Lady Carnarvon, a good party. It's a good party. Yeah, we all need a good party.
Yeah. I know, and I enjoy cooking, and I found a renewed energy recently cooking suppers for my husband. But I've had my birthday with supper with my husband, and he's had his birthday having supper with me, and our son's had his birthday having supper with his parents. So I just think, and my niece has just had her 18th having supper with her parents. So I just think we just need to throw open the doors and have a few good with parties. And just for the audience, what everybody missed was John, our castle manager, asked if I would set Brent and Amy at their ease when we started off by opening this podcast, speaking some German to give them the idea that they would have to carry on in German just to watch their faces.
I started sweating, yeah.
Which is why I asked if he wanted to come in to see the beginning bit, but he didn't, I think, in case you were really annoyed with him. But so that was his joke. But he's ever good at playing the odd prank, but then I do play a few quite good pranks on John. So it's, I think, horses for courses. And then my husband looks at us as if we're slightly childish. But having said that, we do get through, I think, most of the work every day. And it is a huge place, isn't it? There are so many endless jobs to be done. And I think there's so many hours in the day. And it's understanding you simply can't do it all. It is an amazing place, and I love the sense of anchorage it gives to the past, because people have had Christmas at Highclere since at least 749 AD. So that's why I when I first wrote the book Christmas at Highclere, I wanted to begin with thinking about what a traveller would feel like arriving here in 800 AD when Charlemagne was just crowned King of Europe, Holy Roman Emperor rather, and what it would have been like to travel through the landscape of the trees and the snow, and what sort of reception you'd have had arriving here. And I commissioned a really interesting photographer to go out and take what I call very elemental photographs of the landscape, which I really enjoy looking at. It's very raw, it looks very cold, but it completely draws you in. So that's what I was trying to convey in that particular part of it. And now, of course, it's much warmer, hopefully, although still we often wear jumpers in bed. It's cold. And I've always got lots of hot water bottles. And Christmas is a really special time, and I hope people will enjoy watching Christmas at Highclere. And I don't know whether it's been sold to any other countries, but I hope it'll provide much amusement and some laughter, actually, too. I hope you
It will
capture
certainly
that.
provide some laughter.
Will it?
Yeah.
I think it will certainly
In
provide
a lovely way.
I think that it's been the pull, isn't it? And as part of when the project was sort of emailed over to me and first talked about, as I say, going after a tough year for everyone, it's lovely to make a show like this to sort of finish off the year with something so positive. COVID comes across in the film. It's not something we avoid, and it's not something we should avoid. It's here, and looking back on this film, it's a historical window to what was happening at the time. So COVID's in it, but at the same time, it's a very funny film. It's going to be very funny, I think, because of the staff, amusement amongst each other. It's got the Christmas spirit, it's got the camaraderie, everyone mucking in to get the job done, to try and set up Highclere for the general public who will come and join for the Christmas tours. It's a real behind the scenes of Downton Abbey. I hope viewers will enjoy it. Feel good film.
It's also a way for us of reaching out to people, because I was replying on the office email, which I helped the girls out with sometime, and someone was asking if we were open, and I explained that it'll be 1/10 of the visitors this year as of last year. We have taken all steps for the Highclere team as well as visitors to make them feel comfortable and spaced out, so they can stand 10 metres apart if they want without feeling concerned at all, because I want to take the concern and put it to one side to give a reassuring experience. And I think that's what I try to do with all the different events here, which is why they change. I'm trying to put myself in other people's shoes, I suppose, but for better or for worse, how well we do it, I don't know. But it's a great team, and I'm so grateful for all the work they do and sticking with us through thick and thin. As we're coming to the end of the time here, Brent, have you and Amy each got a question for me? So, Brent, would you like to go first?
Well, we'll be giving you lots of questions during this period, Lady Carnarvon, and that's why it's been interesting today to have the shoe on the other foot. What's it been like for you to welcome two strangers into your home? I mean, I know Downton Abbey films here, and you've got big film crews, but this time the cameras have been on you and much more observational. Has it been a different experience to the other shows you've worked on?
I think this whole year has been such a different experience, because I've normally managed successfully to hide behind Highclere Castle, but in order to try to survive and put a voice to what Highclere Castle is living through, it seems to be it's fell more to my part than any other. So in a sense, I think I've almost had a little bit of practice before you got here, because Hannah and I have done so much with Viking TV and Springtime on the Farm and Country File or Countryside. I can't remember how many things we've done. And in a sense, flowing into the observational documentary, I feel very fortunate to have had that tiny introduction to what you've all been asking us to do. And I think the crew here have also gotten a little bit used to it from the documentaries I've asked them to take part in along the way. To start with, they used to go, "Ooh, don't know about that." And I used to have to talk them round. And ever since Pat Withers appeared on Good Morning TV with Holly and Philip Schofield, and she had her makeup done, she was so excited. But they've been all so cool, because part of it is putting the characters behind the castle. It's, into the public eye a little bit, and, which will then help sustain Highclere and bring visitors here. So I think with that background, it's helped us work with all of you and be more relaxed. Would you think that?
Yeah, it's definitely. I think also. I remember asking you questions in the documentary about, how you pick your staff, because you and Lord Carnarvon seem to take a lot of time in who you choose and personalities that match everyone, because everyone does seem to get along so well. But, you can see when we came in with the cameras, it did seem people were quite used to them, but more warmed up. But yeah, everyone's been a good team player.
We asked James from Estates, what did he think of us when we first arrived? We're on our recce, and he's like, we thought you were pretty weird, actually. We were like, oh.
Yeah, you didn't know. I thought maybe we were a bit straight on the first day. Maybe that was my nerves as well coming in.
10,000 questions.
Yeah, 10,000 questions and meeting.
Yeah.
We met all the staff.
We met everyone at once.
We met so many people all at once, and people coming in, and John sort of escorting them in. Here's the next person. Here's the gardener. Here's the farmer. Here's the housekeeper. We're like, whoa.
Hello.
And the headlights. I remember we were going home exhausted that day,
Yeah.
and but instantly you knew we were going to have a lot of fun after meeting everyone. And then as we ease in, of course, we start relaxing, and behind the camera as we film, I think if you watch the camera, there's a lot of wobbly shots, and for my terrible work, but it's because half the time I am laughing. I am literally trying to keep the camera still, and I'm trying to keep my mouth shut as I'm trying to laugh, and the camera's wobbling, and the microphones pick up every sound, and we have to be very cautious. But I'm literally, especially when we're filming with John, I just find John so hilarious. The moments we've had with you, Lady Carnarvon, pushing vans around, all sorts of things, the animals there's all been all sorts of fun things in the show, and literally I think we've had a lot of fun together, and the viewers watch the camera, and if you see a lot of wobble, that's me or Amy behind the camera wobbling in laughter, trying to keep the camera still as our bodies are shaking from belly laughter. So, yeah.
That's true.
If you've got a question to ask me, Amy, what would you like to ask?
Is there any secret passages in the castle?
Are there any secret passages? Yes, there are some secret passages.
What's in them?
They're secret.
What is it? I love secret passages. That's why.
Yes. Every so often I give myself treats and projects, which is usually to do secret passages or looking for treasure. Always a very useful thing to do, but it's quite amusing. But and I think the thing about the people who work here is it's allowing people to be themselves. They're not creating a sort of a corporate identity where people have to fit in, because I think the life that you lead at work should be a good part of your life, not one which is regimented. So I don't think John was quite as mad when he first joined us. He was perhaps slightly more normal. And I think people like James he has so changed and developed, I took him from an intern, and when I found him behind helping at a wedding, and then he's come forward. It's allowing people to find who they are and be themselves rather than not, because I think you're then happier. And whether it's Kat or Hannah, it's quite a mixed group of people, and then I'm asking them to get on as a team. Every so often when we have a crisis or a challenge, I'm then trying to say, okay, there is now one hymn sheet, just this hymn, please, just for this time. And then after that, they tend to go back to singing their own songs. But I try consciously to bring that together.
As a director, when I walk into a place, we're never sure if you have a film or not, even before you begin. And one of the worst case scenarios you can come across is when something feels very corporate, actually. because obviously it's going to come across cold. And if you feel cold in that situation, you know that it's going to come across on camera quite cold. A lot of corporate places can. And that's why coming down the driveway, not sure what I was in for on that first day, but instantly coming in, filming here, it's never felt like a corporation. It's literally like a little family. And I hope that comes across on camera, because that's how it sort of felt. And I think driving away from Highclere in the first day, that's when I knew we had a film before it even started, because it's not a corporation here. It's sort of
I knew there was a film here because I know the people here, so I wouldn't enter into something without thinking I'm sort of 60% over the line, because I don't want to fight that hard. And I think there's a little bit of experience around, which again makes it slightly easier and quicker, and sort of what everyone tries to do a one take rather than lots of takes, which also helps, because it is a busy life for a small team who have, at the end of this year, I think we're all pretty tired and we haven't seen a lot of rest, and nor can we all travel to get away and lay our heads somewhere different. So it's an interesting time. I really hope everybody will enjoy your work. I hope you'll enjoy it as well. And I can't thank you enough for joining and being part of our family, I guess, for the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been really fun, and it's been amazing to be here, especially after a tough year. And it's been an amazing team to come and join, and just be laughing again after a tough year, and just been having fun, and just hopefully give our viewers at home something to enjoy.
I've taken a little bit of Highclere with me back home. John gave me an acorn, so I've now propagated it in my kitchen at home. So hopefully one day I'll plant that in my garden somewhere, wherever I live, and I'll have a bit of Highclere with me always.
Lovely. What fun. Actually, I've got a couple of acorns from the Great Oak, which is one of the oldest oaks of the country, which I've been also growing on. It is fun growing plants from seed. But listen, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope the rest of the filming goes well. And I think our friends or the viewers will be looking forward to seeing it on television. I may be squinting at the TV thinking, golly. But thank you so much for all you've done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for welcoming us. It's been good fun. Thank you.